The Growing Good research highlights how churches that are actively present in their communities and prepared to listen often find that their mission naturally leads to engagement in justice issues. Community organising, which prioritises one-to-one conversations and listening, is built upon this principle. It is the power of people coming together across difference, recognising their shared struggles and hopes, and acting for change. When people feel heard, they are empowered to speak, to act, and to stand for justice.
I fell into community organising on the invitation of my priest to join a community organising meeting, and I haven't looked back since. To me, our faith calls us, Jesus calls us to love and to serve. That is what we're called to do. And I see my service as the action in the community organising. The tools of community organising that I'm talking about are basic things like one-to-one, building relationships, having a one-to-one conversation with somebody, an intentional conversation to get to know that person beyond the surface. The warm space in our community living room developed out of us intentionally developing our leaders. And we had leaders in our church who took an unused space in our church, one of our church buildings, and together with friends in the community and within our church, converted that into a community living room space. So we have that accessible to the whole community. We have martial arts groups in there, yoga groups in there. We partner with a local group who comes in and offers free hot meal every week, and that's open to everyone in the community. We'd been approached by the local authority to support and integrate and welcome asylum seekers that were being housed locally. I mean, it was a hotel that's not so far from the church. We were intentional about welcoming them into a space that we knew that they could possibly use for themselves, because we learned very quickly from just by talking to people that we met in the hotels that they longed for being able to cook their own foods because the hotels had no cooking facilities. They longed for their children to play because, as I said, the rooms were really quite cramped.
Started off with community organizing by taking this leadership course, learning about one-to-ones, having this cycle of prayer and everything else, and how we could learn to build relationships. It's actually one of the local asylum seekers, one of the families goes to the same school as our daughter. They're actually the same age in the same school year. It started to build that relationships and to ask them about their stories and share my stories, and to have that connection as being a parent.
It was in January when they received an eviction notice. It was the Home Office hotel operator that served them with 7 days' notice to leave the hotel. That's how we found out that there was intentions to move 400 people from that hotel within 7 days.
So I felt enraged in a way. I felt that it was unfair, because isn't this the UK supposed to be helping, right? They're supposed to be giving them protection, but they weren't giving them protection. So when we had the action, actually me and my daughter made a little placard that said, asylum means protection, not eviction. So we went to the morning action to the hotel. I read that open letter. But I think it was a sense of relief and solidarity that so many people can come together and be part of that. The outcome was very positive. They were all, not quite sure of the numbers, but they were all sent close within London. They stayed within London and still have a connection to the community that they have built in Waltham Forest. Kids that were in that school so they stayed in the same school, and I think they were able to finish the school year.
When we think about justice, we often picture the concept of fairness, ensuring equality of opportunities and the righting of wrongs. But God's justice is deeper. It's a justice that lifts up the oppressed welcomes the outcast and transforms communities and speaks truth to power, a justice that saves, heals, and restores. Jesus shows us that justice begins with encounter, through stepping beyond our comfort zones and truly hearing those voices who have been overlooked. When we listen with curiosity and attention, when we take time to understand what motivates and matters to those around us, we strengthen relationships, we build movements, and we transform neighborhoods. Justice begins here, in encounter, in conversation, in relationship. Where is God calling you to listen, and who is waiting to be heard?